Good afternoon, Dzień dobry. I am Cedrick Carrington. I would like to share with you one of my hobbies, which is collecting the Black Madonna. And it is actually an intersection between two of my hobbies, collecting Afro-Cubanismo art and always pursuing and researching the mysterious Black Madonna. As an introduction, I'm from the United States and I was born into Catholicism. I'm still a member of my home church, and it's the same church where I started as an altar server, graduated into becoming a lector, and culminated with my service to my church as a Eucharistic minister up until about 2016, until I moved, and then in 2017 I found myself in Pennsylvania. Another one of my hobbies that I won't go into detail on for this is I love to travel, both across the states and abroad. And any time that I travel, I usually collect mementos, be it postcards, refrigerator magnets, or just cultural mementos to bring back and have in my home. So my bride Davina often says that our house is a museum of relics. So fast forward to 2017, and I was hosting a friend of mine, George, at my house in Pennsylvania, and he noticed all the artifacts that I collected. So he was generous enough to share with me a sculpture by Eugenio Paderino out of Italy, 1950s, and it was entitled Black Madonna and Child. And you can probably see it behind me here, but that started my curiosity with the Black Madonna back in 2017. So I started studying, I started researching, I started doing a lot of reading on the Black Madonna, the mystery of the Black Madonna, and just uncovering the prominent places where she has revealed herself. What I was able to find out that the most popular Black Madonna is indeed Our Lady of Częstochowa in southwest Poland. As fate would have it, in 2019, I moved to Poland. I moved to Elbląg, and it's been really transformative for me, culturally, spiritually, to be here, to learn the culture, and to really explore more into the Black Madonna. As soon as we were able to, we traveled to Częstochowa to witness this icon firsthand, and I purchased my first iconic image of Our Lady of Częstochowa at the Jasnogora Monastery. And then I just dove even deeper into my study and my research on my own time of the Black Madonna. So this representation here is the Black Madonnas I've been able to collect across different cultures, across different countries over the past 3 to 5 years. And you will see a lot of similarities, but one thing that transcends Mother of God, Black Madonna, is the overall spirituality, Mother Nature, fertile, fruitful harvest, mothering, fiercely, compassionately protective spirit that protects all of mankind. There is about 200,000 years before Christ, with Greek mythology and pre-Christian times, a belief in a Father Sky and a Mother God. Mother God provides the nutrients for mankind. Father God provides the sustaining from the sun, the wind, and the rains to energize mankind. So you put those two together. So that concept has always been there, to have some type of positive, dark energy that's feminine, that represents mankind, the mother of all of us. So in pre-Christian times in Egypt, they called her Isis. Greek mythology also called her Mother Nature. We see it in Yoruba Orisha art called Yimaja. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well, because she's tied to a spirit within the West African religion of Yoruba, and also a water spirit as well, and a protectorate. Okay, so as we described, there's this Great One mythology that's pretty much pre-Christian mythology that describes Mother Earth as being nurturing and caring and loving and fertile, and the Father Sky piece as well. But this is also represented in Christianity through Black Madonna, as well as the Buddhist religion in Tara. So there are plenty of images of Black motherly Madonna figures throughout history in and outside of Christianity. So I would like to now kind of just show you some of the depictions that I've been able to collect over the last 5 years and give you a brief introduction of who the author is or what the backstory is for how these pictures came to be. Starting with Isis, she is said to have DNA in the mitochondria of all races, so she's the mother of humanity, and that's tied also to the water spirit in the Orisha religion of the Yoruba tribe, and that is Yemaja, and you can see the connection there with Christianity with Virgin de Regla, or Virgin Lady of Rule, and that's most dominant in Brussels, Belgium, as well as the southern coast of Spain, and I'll give you those histories as well. To understand the syncretism of the Orisha Yoruba religion and Christianity, you have to understand 15th century world history. So in Spain, in the mid-1400s, there was a unification of power between Isabella and Ferdinand. As they wed, they consolidated all of Spain. Pope Alexander VI empowered them with the power of patronage so they could spread Christianity throughout the four corners of the world. Their neighbors in Portugal, with Ferdinand Magellan and others, were heavily investing in research for maritime navigation. Portugal actually became one of the earliest global sea powers. So between Spain and Portugal, looking for Western trade routes to the Spice Islands, by 1499 they circumvented Africa, and by 1501 they had a permanent presence on the western port cities of Africa. Shortly thereafter, they began to enslave some of the natives there and participated in the transatlantic slave trade, where Yoruba Africans were exported, were taken into slavery, sold into slavery across the Atlantic to the Caribbean and to the Americas. So as they were taken into slavery, they exported their culture with them and their religion. As they got to the Americas and the Caribbean, places that were predominantly Christian, they were able to fuse their religion with existing Christian values. Therefore, they're not compromising everything that they grew up knowing and believing, and they could still practice their own worship as they fused or syncretized their religion with images from Christianity. We see that with Yemaja, who is a close comparison to the Mother Earth spirit and the Black Madonna within the Orisha art. So she was pretty prominent as that mother figure across Western Africa. We also see that in Our Lady of Regla. Now, it is told that wherever these Black Madonnas reveal themselves is typically tied to water, a well, a lake, or a spring that signifies the significance or signifies the relevance of the Black Madonna. So over the past 5 years, I've collected at least 10 to 12 different Black Madonnas, portraits, but I also have statues and several books that I've read or that I just collect as part of my Black Madonna library. You will notice in several of these Caribbean Black Madonnas that there's a crescent moon associated with it, and this goes to Revelations chapter 12 verse 1, and it reads, "A woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet," and that's consistent with some of these images that you'll see. So if you have the question, why is there a crescent moon with the Black Madonna, that's your description or that's your answer there. So I'd first like to visit Our Lady of Czestochowa, easily the most popular Black Madonna in Christianity. It is said to have been created by St. Luke the Evangelist in Jesus and Mary's home in Jerusalem, as Mary was describing her son Jesus to St. Luke. He carved it on the cedar wooden table that was built by the carpenter Jesus Christ. About 300 years later, in the year 326 AD, Helena, the mother of Constantine, discovered this artwork in Jerusalem, and she had it moved to Constantinople in honor of her son, Constantine. From there, it moved up to Ukraine. At that time, Ukraine was a part of the Polish kingdom, and within the Polish mandate, they moved that print from Lviv, Ukraine, west to Czestochowa, where it is now, and it's been there since 1348. And this is one of the most visited sites in Poland and the most visited Black Madonna in all of Christianity. Several Catholics annually make a pilgrimage to Częstochowa to witness the icon, no different than what we were able to do in early 2019 when I got here. The Queen of Częstochowa, Our Lady of Częstochowa, has 2 scars on her cheek, and those scars are from folks who did not agree with Christian icons. And they attacked the Jasnogor monastery and all of its artifacts. So several times it's been attempted to recover the face, to clean it up, and those scars just miraculously appear within the next 72 hours, even after being painted. So that's one of the great mysteries of Our Lady of Częstochowa. There are several derivatives across the world, 3 in particular that I'll share with you stories on for other Black Madonnas that resemble Our Lady of Częstochowa. So if we fast forward to the year 1791, there was a Haitian slave revolt, and Polish mercenaries ultimately went and fought and defended the slaves in Haiti. They formed a very strong partnership, and these Haitians saw Our Lady of Częstochowa, which each Polish mercenary deployed with, a pocket size. They immediately identified with and adopted this. So when they started the Haitian slave revolt, it started with a spirit dinner in the name of Elise Dantu, their patron saint of the oppressed. So they were able to match this spirit with the personification of the image of Our Lady of Częstochowa. So you can see now in the images of Elise Dantu the similarities, including the slashes on the cheek of the Black Madonna. There are a lot of differences, but there are definitely similarities, and you can draw between the two the parallels. Instead of holding Christ Jesus, Elise Dantu, the patron saint of the oppressed, is holding her daughter. And the slashes that she has came from a knife fight with her sister, and she's also wielding a knife as a fierce protectorate. Mater Salvatoris is a little more regal than Elise Dantu, wearing a crown and a sheer white dress, and she's holding a child as well. There's another Lady of Częstochowa depiction that has Orthodox images, depictions on it, and typically you can tell when the photo is or an image is Orthodox because it has Greek letter inscriptions. Mother of Christ, He who is Jesus Christ. And you can see that within the halos or the illumination about the heads in most of these images. So let's take a look at the Virgin of Compassion. This is now in Moscow, Russia, and she is attributed to several miracles, repelling different attacks and acting in the defense of her people. This is one of the first images of a compassionate Mary, where she is cheek to cheek with the Christ child. It really just shows the compassion she has for her child. Just as a description, the Greek letters you can find on the Orthodox depictions of the Black Madonna, or any Madonna for that matter, are Mu, Rho, Theta, Upsilon, which stands for Mother of God, Omicron, Omicron, Nu, He who is, followed by Sigma, Chi, Sigma. Correction, Iota, Sigma, Chi, Sigma, Jesus Christ. The Virgin of Compassion, sometimes also called the Virgin of Vladimir, dates back to the 15th century. Was in the Catholic or Orthodox capital of Russia at the time, Vladimir, but has since been moved to a museum in Moscow. The next image I collected was the Virgin of Matsurak. The Virgin of Matsurak was found probably in the 12th century, but there are some rumors that date it back to the same time as Our Lady of Częstochowa, about 70 or 75 AD. This is the first image of a front-facing Mary, where she's facing the viewer, and it was carved out and found in Catalonia, Spain. There are several images that have been taken from there, but the original image is still in a chapel in Catalonia, Spain, and she is seen as a protectorate for all of Spain. Okay, our next Black Madonna is Our Lady of the Sign, and she's also in Greek Orthodox called Theotokos, Mother of God. Again, you can see the Greek descriptions there, but here this is a sign, and this sign is supposed to be at the moment of the Annunciation. May it be done to me according to your word. Luke chapter 1, verse 38. The term Our Lady of the Sign is reference to the prophecy of Isaiah chapter 7, 14, and it reads, Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Our Lady of the Sign can be found throughout Turkey and Russia and other Orthodox countries. Okay, our next, and you can see a similarity between Our Lady of the Sign and this next one created by Mark Dukes in 2014, Our Lady of Ferguson. So Ferguson is a small city outside of St. Louis, and this image was created and inspired by Mark Dukes after the killing of a unarmed black male, Michael Brown, in the summer of 2014. It was inspired by Matthew 25:40, and that reads, Whatsoever you do to the least of my people, as you do unto me. And it has been very provocative, and it brings awareness to situations that we've had. It's also been practiced and studied throughout Jesuit schools as well in the United States. Okay, the next Black Madonna is Our Lady of the Gates of Dawn, and she's located in Vilnius, Lithuania. And she has been attributed with several miracles in defending her people and repelling attacks from invaders that go back to the 16 and 1700s. She is placed at the gates and named to be Our Lady of the Gate of Dawn because she was placed there to bless people that pass by as well as travelers and defend outsiders from penetrating inside the city gates. And again, there you can see the depiction of the crescent moon, and this is one of the earliest images where the Black Madonna is not with Christ Jesus. The next image I have is the Virgin de la Mercedes, and this is the Black Madonna of Charity. As the Spanish and Portuguese were able to travel further west through the Caribbean, they brought with them Our Lady of Mercy, and she is now located in Cuba. And she was used to protect those travelers from any type of enslavement. The next Black Madonna is also in Havana, Cuba, and it's called Caridad del Cobre. Caridad del Cobre goes back to an African depiction of a story. Two kids, Juan and Rodrigo, and one enslaved child, Juan, or collectively called the Three Juans, were out going to a salt mine. They were in a boat, and out of nowhere a storm came in, and the boat was nearly capsized due to high waves. Suddenly, Juan, the slave, started praying, and Juan and Rodrigo, the brothers, followed suit and started praying as well. All of a sudden, the waters calmed, and they saw an image not far away. It was a plank on the water, and on that water was an image of Madonna, a Black Madonna. And she was there for charity, and she was there for safe passage. The three Juans continued to pray, and suddenly the skies cleared and the waters calmed. They were able to see in the distance, floating in the water, a wooden plank. And on that plank was the Virgin Mary. And it said, I am the Virgin of Charity. They brought that story back, and it stayed with the people of Del Cobre ever since. The next Black Madonna is the Virgin de Regla, or the Virgin of Rule. It goes back to St. Augustine in Hippo, North Africa, as he was creating missionaries for Christianity throughout Northern Africa. After Augustine's death and further persecution of Christians in North Africa, monks were able to flee North Africa back to Spain, and they were able to take with them this image that was created, handcrafted by Hippo, and this was the Virgin of Rule, Virgin de Regla, as it's stated in Havana. Once it was brought back to Spain, it was put on the Spanish southern coast to protect from any Moorish or Germanic invasions, and it survived 700 years of Moorish conquest. So one of the miracles attributed to the Virgin de Regla is that she was able to survive underground for over 700 years, and she was brought back and found by Spanish explorers, and she is celebrated to this day, both in Spain and in Cuba. So we talked about the Yoruba people and the Orisha, or the spirits within the Yoruba religion of West African tribes. So as the tribes were moved across and sold into slavery across the Atlantic, they brought with them their culture and they brought with them their religion. So in order for their religions to survive, they had to compromise, syncretize, or fuse their religion with those of Christianity in order for them to continue to bring to their spirits. They let those spirits adopt the images of the existing Christian images. Yamaja is a water spirit. She's a fierce protectorate of its people, and she's also a comparative example of the Mother Nature for the Yoruba religion. So that's pretty much it. This shows you that from the 15th to the 17th century, most of these Madonnas have their origin and their genesis. Some people attribute this to the poor knights of Solomon's Temple, or the Knights Templar, as they were able to move artifacts that they found in Jerusalem back to Europe, predominantly in France. So there are over 500 plus Black Madonnas worldwide, about 450 across Europe, some in Israel, and then others in the Caribbean and Americas. As explained, you can see how those Black Madonna images traveled from Western Africa, or how they were brought back from Jerusalem into Europe and introduced and proselytized from there, along with Christianity and the belief and understanding of a motherly spirit that protects us all. What we're taught that is, regardless of color, regardless of class or race, we're all loved, and that's what the Black Madonna teaches us through her humility, is that we're all loved and we're all from the same one mother.